You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 121 of the Battered Heat Fans podcast. I am your host, Daniel Granada, and alongside me is usually Mr. Daniel Solana, but he's on daddy duty. You know, the newborn. He can't, he's doing his daddy thing. So I'm out here by myself, but we had to come on here to talk about Klay Thompson. Press conference finally went through yesterday. He showed up late to his own press conference. My understanding is that he didn't know that Miami traffic is kind of crazy. So I'm sure he'll learn that soon, whether it be on the water or whatever he's doing, because I know he likes boats. But I think the most interesting part of that press conference was the fact that he said that this team is limitless. He's talking championships, which is obvious. I think everybody at this point is talking championships. But I felt like the pundits were kind of pushing back on the possibility that the Miami Heat could be title contenders. But you don't hear it as much. As soon as Klay Thompson was official, everybody said, "Oh, now they got shooting." We had shooting. We got another shooter. Got one of the greatest shooters of all time, actually. But we got shooters. And now you know that when Giannis, because if you haven't watched Giannis play on a consistent basis, he's basically just downhill. Like he'll get the ball at the top of the key, and he was just downhill to the rim, and he's going to be swinging that ball when the defense collapses. Now, there's some spacing issues with Bam. I'm sure they'll figure that stuff out. But remember, that was the issue that they had with Ware and Bam also. And Bam started playing a little more on the perimeter. I'm sure they're going to figure that out. But this ball is going to be swinging. And we brought that up last show, about how much this ball is going to swing. Because you got Klay, and he can swing it onto Davion, 40%. Tim Hardaway, 40%. You got Wiggs, 40%. You got Bobby Portis, 45%. You got Bam, who was what? I think last time was 36. I'm sure it'll go up. You got Ryan Conwell. You got Fontecchio. Like, we got shooters. And I wanted to give a quick shout out to my guy, Justin Lewis, which gave this comment. And I absolutely love this. So I made sure I take a screenshot so I can shout him out. Shout out to Justin Lewis. Appreciate the support. He said, "Start calling our offense nutsack. The way the ball's going to be swinging." This ball's going to swing. They are going to swing because the attention that a Giannis gets in the paint, people I don't think realize. If you haven't watched him consistently, now I know a lot of the pundits do, but then they thought, but he has nobody to pass it out to. We got plenty of shooters now. That's not going to be the issue anymore. So we got shooters, and guess what? We got one hell of a defense. Yeah, Klay Thompson's going to be a liability on defense for sure. But who's next to him? Giannis. You got Bam. You got Wiggs. You got Davion. I think we'll be okay. I think we're going to be okay. So this team is all of a sudden a title contender. And I started thinking to myself, is this the best starting five in the East? Because I think it might be. Because the only other starting five that I would put up against this current Miami Heat starting five, the Sixers, all right, they got it. With health, right? I think Embiid is the biggest question mark health-wise. But I think that is the best starting five. I think the Miami Heat might be second. You want to say the Knicks because they're champs? And they have a solid starting five also. Okay. So the Heat, top three. I can't imagine anybody else. Like, who else was starting five? Detroit? No. Who else? I'm blanking right now. Boston? No. I mean, I don't even know if how's Paul George gonna look in Boston? I that's not sexy. I can't see Boston doing anything. Cleveland has a solid five, but I think the Heat's better. They don't have a number one like Giannis. They don't have shooting like Klay Thompson. They did. They had Max Strus, right? He was one of the top 3-point shooters in the league. Now he's not there anymore. Miami Heat got the squad. And Klay Thompson, when he said that this team is limitless, I like that. I also like that he liked that this team is uncomfortable. He's not coming here to vacation. He knows what it means. He knows the conditioning and everything that comes with that Heat culture. And he said that he invites that, and I like that. He said that he misses playing in the playoffs. He said he hated the last 2 years kind of sitting at home and not being a part of that. You want somebody that says those things. Now, of course, those are just words, but I believe it because who's played in more championships or sorry, more finals over the last decade than Klay Thompson and Steph Curry? Or Draymond, I guess. Draymond Green also. Like those three guys have been playing the NBA finals consistently, basically the last 10, 12 years. Because they were there in what? 14 was when the Heat lost to the Spurs. So they were there in 15, they won it. 16, they lost to Cleveland. 17, they won. 18, they won. 19, they lost to Toronto. So that was 5 years in a row. And then Klay was injured for the next 2 years. So don't even count those. Then in 21, they didn't make it to the finals. 22, they made it to the finals and won it again. So that's 6 NBA finals runs in 7 years. Klay's accustomed to playing deep into June. Like that's just what he's accustomed to. So I'm sure the last couple of years in Dallas have been very rough, and he is dying to play some meaningful basketball again, and he sees it right now. He sees what this team has. If you have a top defense, you have shooting, and you have a top 3, you want to argue 5, top 3 or 5 player in the world, you got a chance. So the press conference came through. He said all the right things, what you expected. I love that he was already shooting around. Apparently, Bam already reached out to him. Giannis hasn't, but Giannis is overseas, so that's understandable, I guess. But Klay's gonna fit right in. He's rocking his number 11, and I'm excited for this because I think that people are taking notice. And again, I like flying under the radar, but you know what? F it. If you want to put a bullseye on them, no matter what, I think the Miami's going to fly under the radar a bit just because of the whole LeBron to the Sixers move and because the Knicks get so much attention. I think Miami, no matter how good they are, they'll still fly under the radar. But I like that. But some people are taking notice now. You're not seeing many people saying like, "Oh, they're 11th in the East anymore." After Klay Thompson got signed, they're not saying that anymore. Now, one of the more interesting things that came out since we last did a show, though, and I'll end it with this, is that he didn't take as much money as we thought. Everybody thought that he got like 6.5, I think it was. He ended up doing 5 point, I forget what it was. It was like 5.2, 5.3 per year, maybe 5.5. Whatever it was that he took, it now leaves space for 2 minimum contracts. Now, a lot of people are thinking Nick Richards because he's been in the facility. So a lot of people think that that's one big man for a minimum, which works, right? We need a big body. But that leaves another vet minimum contract. Now, about a month ago, I asked Anna on this show, and I said, what would you think about Chris Paul? Now, back then, I thought that LeBron James was still on his way. So I thought him and Chris Paul are buddies. Maybe he comes out of retirement to play with LeBron. And then I'm sure that Chris Paul seems like somebody that would fit into this Heat culture, right? Like the way they do things. LeBron didn't come. I stopped talking about it. I was watching Locked on Heat. I forget the host name. I apologize. But he brought up, what about Chris Paul? I had forgot that I even brought that up until he said that. Now, I thought it because of the whole LeBron situation. But would you invite that? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. But would you invite a Chris Paul, a veteran leader, comes off the bench? I don't think he expects to start anymore. And that's a steady hand to come off the bench. And I think if he were to see a team like this, I think that would be intriguing because I think he would see this as a real possibility as a title contender, something that's eluded him his entire career. He's going to go down in one of those lists, right, with Patrick Ewings and the Charles Barkleys as greatest players to never win a title. Like maybe he has, maybe we can make a phone call. Maybe we can get on. I would love that because right now, who's the backup ball handler? Drew Smith. I love that he's a pest. I love his defensive tenacity. But I can't say I would hate to see Chris Paul out there 15, 18 minutes a game. Right. And not always, right? Drew Smith will still get a lot of run, but I would love that presence in the locker room and on the bench. Like this is these are the moves or the all-in moves. When you start getting these vet minimums with players that can make a difference on and off the court. Now, is it gonna happen? I have no idea. Like I said, a month ago I brought it up just randomly, but then I heard it again when I was watching the Locked On Heat show, And I thought that was interesting that he brought it up. I was like, you know what? That would be really cool. I mean, I originally thought about it for the whole LeBron thing, but yeah, even if LeBron isn't here, I could see Chris Paul fitting in here perfectly. Imagine him running those pick and rolls with the second unit when with Bam or Giannis when one of them is off and the other one's on. I don't know. I would love to see Chris Paul. I'm sure he has some left in the tank. And the way his career ended in LA, it'd be nice to have a little redemption and end it in a much classier way. So that was just a thought. But that was it. Klay Thompson, officially a Miami Heat member, already shooting around, had the press conference, thinks that this team is limitless, aka we're title contenders. And I don't think many people are pushing back on that anymore. Remember, we've slowed down a little bit with the shows, but we're gonna keep going a little more consistently starting next month when things start picking up again. Right now, like I said, my job just got busy. Solana got the baby, but we'll be on. So make sure that you make sure you like and subscribe. If you're listening on audio, appreciate you listening to the end. Please leave 5 stars and a comment. If you watch it on YouTube, like and subscribe. And we'll be back in a couple of days with some more Miami Heat talk. So until the next one, have a good one.